Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour Live. We're back to our normal time around 6:30. I say around because it's 6:34. 6:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And as we always say at the top of the show, please, if you like the show, like, share, subscribe, youtube.com/The Detour Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by four-time National Road Champion Johnny Trevorrow and a proud, passionate creator of the Jayco Bay Cycling Classic. And he's going to be probably slipping in a few of those memories because our next guest, I'm very excited. Iffy, I got to know our guest quite well when he was living in Girona. And we had a lot of fun in the early days, particularly when we were doing videos with Team Sky and Orica Green Edge. But what can you say about our guest today?
Well, the first thing I'll tell him, he's not very good technically. He's probably in about my level, I reckon, because he's just texted me, says, I'm on, but it ain't working.
It's working. We just haven't added him yet.
You can see him there.
I can see him. He's in the waiting room. He's getting frustrated. He wants you to hurry up and stop waffling.
Well, I thought he couldn't get through. There you go. So he's better than me. Yeah. Well, CJ, I've known him since before he was born, if you could almost say that, because his dad was a real legend, a world champion, one of the greatest bike riders we ever produced, and won the first ever Bay Crit. So there you go.
There you go. They're not even 2 minutes in.
Starting early. But so naturally, because Gary used to stay at my place often when he was down racing and stuff and become part of the family, really. So when CJ was born, I kept an eye. I thought, see if he would be a bike rider. There's not much bloody chance of that not happening. The whole family, all the relations, everyone was racing a bike from New South Wales related to the Suttons and the Bates. And, so I watched him as a junior and watched him come through, and he's ended up being one of our great stars, 10-year professional. So let's bring him on.
CJ Sutton, welcome to the Detour, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's pretty good to speak to you, mate. It's been a long time. I reckon it's been at least 4 or 5 years. I miss those days in Girona where we catch up in the off-season and let rip.
Yeah, a bit like that. A bit different these days. Now, isn't it?
Oh, it's very different, mate. How are you travelling? Because you're in Sydney, and obviously there's been some lockdowns. And give people a bit of insight on what you're up to nowadays.
Where do I begin? Married, got two boys, so a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I've got a Madison combination at the moment, which is pretty good. Going for a team shoot, but you need 5 for that. But yeah, you need to have a reserve up your sleeve. But yeah. No, it's coaching a lot of riders at the moment, and my wife and I, we own a bike shop as well. So yeah, it's good times.
So you've taken over Uncle Phil's bike shop.
Is that the shop there?
No, it's I was running the shop for him previously when it was Bates Bike. So yeah, just before Christmas last year, just bought what stock was left and just started rebranding and so calling it Sutton Cyclery and yeah.
Oh, good stuff, mate.
I did send him the photo, but he said, no, I've got a better one. So
so that's not even the right bike shop. So there you go.
That's fine. I look skinnier there. It's fine.
Oh, we'll run it again. No, that's fine. Sato and his bikes. Well, do you have a website, anything you want to plug straight off the bat?
Yeah, so at the moment, just working on the website at the moment, but everything we've got is listed on Bike Exchange, and obviously we've got our own website with Bike Exchange.
Yep.
So at the moment, as everyone knows, like you can't walk into a bike shop, which is quite hard and frustrating. So it's everything's like click and collect or call and collect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just working really close with the guys at Bike Exchange because I did a lot of work for them couple of years ago now, or a while ago, more than that. But so just working with them closely on stuff that I want to do and seeing if it's going to work and just try new things. But yeah, it's working really well at the moment. So yeah, I've always liked the guys at Bike Exchange. I've always loved the concept, and it's all that they've got, all the technology, everything's there. It's just, as a business owner, like with a bike shop, it's super easy for me right now and all the staff. Like I didn't really have to train them to learn how to use it. So yeah, big plugs to Bike Exchange. So that was the first thing I did as soon as I opened up the bike shop.
Now we've had.
I'll tell you what, Mark is going to be very happy. I'm just going to say, because we won't even have to run the Bike Exchange ad now.
No,
you've already done it for us, CJ. It's sensational.
I used to work there, so it's good. Like I know it works because I used to work there. So I used to look after all the accounts for New South Wales and Queensland. So, you know, it's the way things are at the moment. You know, people just want to. Everyone is shopping online, regardless whether you like it or not. A lot of people want things delivered to their house because they don't have time to get to a bike shop. But yeah, even more so now, because the way it is, people can't walk into the store. If you get caught with someone walking into a store, it's like a $50,000 fine or something. But we're quite fortunate enough that we have a big car park out the back. So we've got a big roller door. Everything's barricaded off. We've got a big tent. The biggest problem is, like, obviously we can't display the bike, like what we have inside, we can't take outside. So a lot of the people, you know, we say go to Bike Exchange, have a look at the bike, you know, because we've talked to them, we know what they want, we know what riding they're doing. So we just point them in the right direction. That way they can see the colours, and then they're either doing it click and collect through Bike Exchange, or they're calling up and paying for it over the phone. And it's quite challenging, but yeah, it's you just roll with the punches and get on. You know, no use crying over spilt milk.
That's right. We were talking to Mark Renshaw, and he's obviously got a store up there in Bathurst. And he said a lot of the skills that he used as a pro bike rider has actually helped him in business. Have you found the same thing?
Yeah, I have actually. So it's, you know, I think I'm pretty fortunate as well. Like, because I grew up like with my dad, who he is, and even my uncle, like Uncle Shane, I learned quite a lot from them. And you know, someone will call up and say, I'm 175 centimeters tall. I know exactly what size bike they need. So I don't second guess it. I just know. And then where the seat heights need to be, that's a bit challenging at the moment, because it's like you need to especially size people up, but it's kind of like, you know, here's your bike, there's your click and collect, off you go. Like, you know, you want to set the saddle height right for people. So I'll move it up a little bit, and then, you know, we're all, you know, behind the fences and stuff, and it's like go for a ride, and, you know, we're trying to do the best we can. It's not easy, but yeah, but for me, bike sizes, trying to set people up, you know, I don't need to guess about that. I just know. But, you know, I pride myself on bike fits as well. Obviously, you know, I was injured through wrong bike positions. So, yeah, I pride myself on those and getting those right and dialed in, which we can't do at the moment. So that sucks as well.
Now, if you reckon you're chewing at the bit, you've got some questions you want to go, bang, let's go.
Well, look, we want to go right back and talk about the start of CJ's career and all of that. And of course, mention the Bay quits as much as we can. But
let's burn the good matches first. Let's burn the good ones.
I reckon we want to start with you finished your career at Sky, and now we want to get your thoughts on Ineos and this current Vuelta. So my question is, what are they doing in their tactics? The last stage with Yates attacking off the front as Bernal's going out the back. It didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I've tried to wrap my head around it. Maybe Bernal's just not feeling good. I don't know. Carapaz. I don't know what's going on, but this is the main problem when you have so many leaders. Well, not so many leaders, but everyone says, like, you saw it at the tour. It's like, you know, we're going with, this is our main GC contender, whatever. You know, it just takes one person for a bad day. But then Ineos is thinking, well, we've got 4 guys here, so that's 1 out. So we've got 3 bullets to fire. But I watched the replay again, and I was just trying to figure out like what I was thinking. Maybe Yates is on a good one. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to send someone up the road as a springboard. but then it's sort of backfired in their face. I don't know. Like there's obviously
Radio. Hey, Adam, I'm in a little bit of trouble. Don't attack. That would what I would do if I was Bernal. They've got radios.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a few hard stages still coming.
Oh yeah.
So Bernal's going to shine there, especially when it goes up pretty high, especially at altitude. So
but I think you raised a good point, like the confusion within the team, right? We had Steve on last night, and he was talking about, even the issues with like Hagee's up there in GC and Lander dropped off, but then had to be positive because Caruso won the stage. As a rider, if you're on that team, Sutter, and you've got a role like to, look after, but you don't even know who the actual leader is, and then you're trying to work. Is it better off just to have a clear plan? This is our leader, and we'll see what happens and adjust if we need to, as opposed to what the hell's going on? There's almost too much scenarios going on for your team.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of people, it's, a lot of professional cyclists, and I don't care what people say, you are quite selfish. And you have to be, like, to be at the top of your game, you are quite selfish. So, a lot of people probably still don't have contracts. So they're thinking about that in the back of their mind. But, I mean, you've got a role to play in the team. Like, if you do that, then the team's like, they're going to give you another contract if they have the space for you. But, other teams are going to see that, geez, this guy laid it all on the line. And I really don't know. It's, as I said, I watched the highlights again today, just trying to work out what was going on and what was said on the team buses to what the game plan was, because it just seemed like a bit of a dog show.
So you're saying you're better off, if you're a rider, just know specifically each day, what is my role, and just do that. Don't even worry about all the other stuff.
Well, that's normally what every team is. It's like, bang, you're the sprinter. We're on a sprint stage, and like when it was Sky before it changed to Ineos, it was like, this is the plan. Like, we've got, there's myself or Edvald Bosenhagen or whatever. It's like, this is what we're doing. It's like, and then the guys would say, how do you want the lead out? And it was like, then we'd go through how the lead out's supposed to go, and that was it. It was done. So if someone was on a bad day, then someone in the lead out train, they would swap positions because they weren't feeling that good. So they'd go a lot earlier in the lead out. But I mean, coming into a mountain stage, it was like, the sprinters, we'd all ride on the front, and then that was our job. We had to make it to the last climb or position the climbers like in the top 10 for the last climb, and then that was it. So we knew what we had to do. But as far as that was confusing for me, that was like, it was a bit different. Last time I rode the Vuelta was 2011, and we obviously had Wiggo that we were riding for, and Froome was going pretty well, but Wiggo was the main leader. So and Froome was shining through a couple of the stages. So yeah, it was made our job a lot easier. We just had to make sure that they were at the front or in a good position, and that was it. But then now they're trying to, you've got, as I said, you look back at the Tour, you had 4 guys that can potentially win the Tour, and that just went belly up, didn't it?
Yeah.
There were never any problems between Froome and Wiggo, though, were there? I mean, they always.
I was rooming next to Bradley Wiggins at the Tour de France that year that it all blew up, and I heard the conversations between him and Sir Dave, and it was spicy. I can tell you that right now. Hey, we've got a couple of quick comments. Will Wizard says, saw Chris get win in Kuhn, Brussels, Kuhn. So you got some fans there. Gary Tilley, I have to watch a replay down Iffy dinner time. Thanks, mate. Annette Miller, this is a good point, John. Ineos, biggest budget, but don't have the best rider. Do you think that that's getting under their skin, the fact that you look at Pogačar, Roglic, a couple of these superstars, they don't have. So you're having to sort of scramble with your tactics. What do you reckon?
CJ.
It's even when I rode at Sky, everyone said Sky had the biggest budget, and I know at one point, like there was a couple of years there that we didn't have the biggest budget, So like we're one of the top teams, but we didn't have the biggest budget. But yeah, I agree with that comment. Like, I don't know what's going on, like change. There's certain things that people need to remember, though, that as an athlete, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. So there might be some stuff that's happening behind closed doors, change of roles, change of management, like who knows? But someone will like emerge. You have a look at the likes of Bernal, like he's so young, and you have a look at the races that he's won, the results that he's got. Even Carapaz has had a big year, and he's probably just cooked after the Olympics a little bit, maybe. But they do have a lot of talent. So, I mean, it is the back end of the season, and these guys, like everyone needs to remember that it's a different type of year. We're living through the world that we're living in at the moment isn't normal. So races are getting shuffled all over. So, whereas previous years before COVID started, you knew the race program, the calendar was set, nothing changed. Whereas everything's kind of shuffled around now. Like we've got Paris-Roubaix like coming up, and that's normally in April. So a lot of riders have to adjust and change things. So they're sort of peaking for certain races, and then they have their down period. Whereas now it's kind of,
I think the internet's frozen. Oh no! I think because of the lockdown in Sydney, the bandwidth. You've got to factor that into. There, mate.
You're back. We lost
Yeah,
there, mate.
Yeah, right, mate.
And also the fact of saying Bernal he got COVID right after the finish of the Giro. So I don't know how bad it was for him, but he definitely had COVID-19. So that might have knocked him around a little bit as well as far as the recovery process. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that apparently that takes a lot out of you, like when you get that apparently. So who knows? But
what I want to ask you, CJ, is so you obviously started out Cofidis, then went to the Garmin, but then you were part of the inaugural setup for Sky in the early days, and it was such a different approach in terms of this marginal gains. It feels like a lot of teams have caught up a bit now to the methodical approach to tactics and the PowerPoint prezos and all that sort of stuff. But in those early days as a rider, I mean, what were the major differences when you were part of that Sky environment?
I just think the way everything was done, and everyone had bought into the fact that they were doing things differently. Like, we're there to do our job. The team, like the management and everything, they felt the pressure and they didn't want to say it, because as an athlete, you have enough pressure on yourself. As you're a sprinter and you're in a certain race, you can win, you've won it before or whatever, and then you don't win. It's like the team never got back to the bus and they never fired bullets straight away, like you see in most sports. But it's just, as an athlete, you put enough pressure on yourself. But everything was dialed and everyone was laughing at us with certain things. Like, you have a look at the Giro in 2010 when we had road race skin suits and everyone was laughing at us. Why are you wearing skin suits and certain things? But it's like, well, why do you wear a skin suit in a time trial? And people look at you like an idiot.
Well, they reckon if Hino wore a skin suit in Milan San Remo when he got pipped by Cab, he would have won. That was the difference.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They said could have been.
It's just funny. Like, they think about all these things. There's it's the attention to detail as well. Like, all the certain different helmets that we had as well, like for wet weather, filled in helmets, everything like that. That was all wind tunnel tested. They're working with the sponsors, all the equipment. I think it's just they make your job as easy as possible when you're on the road. That all you need to do is just race your bike that day. Like, you've done all the training, you've done all the hard work. There's no excuses. You should be ready. So, you just turn up and you just race. Like everything's done, you know. So, I mean, even on Grand Tours, they used to carry around. There was a special van, a special truck that used to carry all our wasn't the bed linen, but we had like the sponsor was like a bedding company. So we had memory foam, like they had extra staff members that laid out memory foam mattresses on the hotel beds. We all had special pillows. Like we got an email before the Grand Tour saying you got 3 choices for like the mattress toppers that you
that's
wanted.
awesome. But it makes sense because the importance of sleep. You could take supplements all you want. It's not going to hold a mirror to an extra 2 hours sleep. Swain Tuft used to say that every day.
Yeah, it was pretty far fetched, but I'll tell you what, after having the point of the seat up the old sphincter for 180 odd K and up in the Dolomites or whatever, you used to get back to that. You used to get back to your hotel
awesome.
up in the fetal position, and you just lay on that memory foam pillow, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah."
Did you feel a big part that there was so much success, particularly in that period, the back end of your career when you were with Sky, that there was so much jealousy and envy and all these things that you're doing? It was like tall poppy syndrome, like what we have in Australia. Did you guys feel that when you were part of the squad?
Nah. Me personally, I didn't. Maybe I'm just different, just from the upbringing that I had. I always felt I had to prove myself. Always felt I had to prove my spot, prove why I was there. Like, even though you won a race, it was like, for me personally, I was like, yeah, cool, I won a race. Like, I want to win another one. Like, what's the next one I can win? Then readjust set new goalposts and then go from there. So for me, I didn't feel it. I didn't notice it. If people were talking, it's something that I've learned to live with for a long time, especially with my dad, my uncle, who they are, for the fact that I had to prove myself. For me, the best thing Wiggo ever said to me was, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Sorry for my language.
No,
but it's so true. And for me, it's water off a duck's back. Like, everyone's got an opinion, so it's just, yeah, cool, whatever. Like, I just didn't used to care. If someone wanted to say something bad about me, it's like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like all my mates and family and friends know who I am. Like, I'm a straight shooter. I say it as it is. If you don't like it, then the truth hurts. So I've always been like that, and yeah.
But on a flip side of that success, right? Sky used to do these, methodical training camps at like Tenerife and marginal gains on it, and it felt like it was so taxing on the riders that had to buy into that to get that success. We'd see Rishi Port at the end of the season, and he'd be fried mentally because you'd win the Tour de France, and it felt like box ticked. What's the next race? Box tick, challenge sheet, what's the next race? And we've always said, and I that's why I'm not a professional athlete, because if I had that success, man, I'd go on a 2-week bender to celebrate, just because I want to enjoy that moment. Because isn't that what it's all about? Do you think that they're sort of understanding now it's okay to enjoy the success? They're not robots. Do you think that's been a big evolution on it at all?
Yeah, big time. So, and for me, like, I've always been like that. It's like, everyone that I used to speak to back home, they thought, it was kind of, even when you weren't racing, you go home, you have your dinner, drink some water, and go to bed. Like, and people were shocked. They're like, "Oh, what? You have a glass of wine?" And it's like, I am a human. Like, I do enjoy a wine, or I do enjoy beer. Like, it's not going to hurt. It's like, I do live a normal life in Europe. Like, I'm not a monk. Like, I don't just, but I agree. Like, I never went to any of those training camps at altitude, but yeah, obviously, I don't know if there has been science behind the science, but surely it is taxing. And as you said, you look at someone like Richie Port, who's like cactus at the end of the season. It just almost looks like he wants to like sleep like a polar bear for 6 months. Like, just get some R&R. But like that, I know that they go to altitude because a lot of the races that are above altitude, the team needs to be there and ride. Everyone's working out how they ride, and that maybe they're there too long, maybe not. I don't know. I was just grateful I was a road sprinter.
Iffy?
Well, I just thought we might hit the DeLorean button and go back a tab, because we're talking about.
So you want to play that little sting, do you? Play it? Okay.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, Johnny, you fired it up.
I love it. I love it. So, CJ, you said you're just a normal human, but you're not, because you're a Sutton. And the Suttons aren't normal humans. And I can remember first time seeing your old man, and it was Australian titles at Centennial Park, 1971, and he was a junior. And I didn't know much about him. And I remember watching the junior race, because we started straight after at Centennial Park, and your old man just creamed him. He just rode away, and he used to have that pointy style, his feet pointing down. I thought, that's a bit strange, but gee, boy, could he pedal that bike? And he almost lapped the field. I thought, wow. Anyway,
how's it go again, John?
It probably does. Well, the podcast people can't see that, but that's how he rode. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we went down to Tassie, and I think he was still a junior, and they gave him a special start in the Tour of Tassie. And it was the year that was 5 days right around. Donnie Allen won that one, if I remember rightly. I think I ran second or third. But your dad, he went about 2 days, and I think whoever was looking after him thought, a bit young, we'll pull you out. So I remember him saying, he loved my old man. He said, Mr. Trevorrow, do you have any room for my bike in your van? I had a van. So, yeah, no worries, Gary. So I whacked the bike in the van. And after about a day, he comes up to Dad. He said, Mr. Trevorrow, we've found some room in the other vehicle. We can put it in, because Gary did the whole 5 days, become a handler, I think. And Dad said, no, it's fine, Gary. It stay there every day. No, it's fine, Gary. I was riding his front wheel. Someone else was riding his back wheel, and I can't remember. Someone had his rear derailleur.
He pinched all his stuff.
Yeah. And I remember years later, he said to me, gee, your dad was good. He carried that. I said, oh, yeah, and I told the story. Oh, you bastards.
Did you have a question, John?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm just setting the scene, mate.
Okay. Get the popcorn.
My last Sun Tour, and it was Shane's first Sun Tour, and they're only 3-man teams. So Shane and a guy named Peter Phillips, that's the older brother of Jason Phillips, and myself, we were the team. And first stage, we were coming in to finish at Bacchus Marsh. We've been up over Mount Macedon. We're the only team with the 3 riders. And I remember Sefton and Dumps, my big arch rivals there. I said, and I'm actually giving Shane his instructions of how to lead me out coming into town. And as I'm talking to him, he punctured. So I won the stage without him. So I've never let him forget it. But he's never let me forget that in the next stage, the same day, I did my knee and had to pull out. So I only didn't even do 1 day of that Sun Tour. So anyway.
Any questions, John? So
get into that. We're just talking about, we're setting the scene.
You're talking about yourself.
No, we're talking about his dad and his uncle and the connection.
Okay, but you're also talking about yourself, mate. Come on.
Bay Crits. Now, Dan always has to go at me for mentioning the Bay Crits. I can't help it. But when I
love the Bay Crits. Hey, come on, Dan. Come on.
Okay. Now
thanks, CJ.
We need a little sting for the Bay Crits.
Aussie sprinter. Come on, we all love Bay Crits, mate. It's the best way to start.
I'll give John credit. The Bay Crits in its heyday was the Ducks nuts. It was the best, fastest crit. It's obviously getting harder to get the caliber of talent they used to have, because obviously schedules
hard to
change.
put the damn race on these days.
Well, that's right. But I think with the amount of promotion you've done for this bloody Bay Crits, it's surely going to make a comeback.
We're getting back. But when I looked at the Wikipedia page of you, CJ, the first thing on your Wikipedia page is stage winner 2003 Bay Crits. And there you go. First thing.
Yeah.
I love
2003.
Yep.
Was that the final stage out front, when you had it out the front of the Crown Casino?
I think it might have been. I think it was the one where the one you won. I think was the one where Brownie was blue with everybody. It might have been
2003. That was Crown Casino because it was the year after I was at the Junior Worlds, which was in Melbourne. 2003. I was away with. I think I was away with Stewie O'Grady. Maybe I was a little whippet. Yeah. Have a look at who was.
That would have been a big buzz rolling the likes of those guys at such a young age, CJ.
I felt good. I think I was away with Stewie, but I hit him, and I think from memory I won solo.
Yep, you did. I can remember. I happened to be there.
Yeah.
And then in 2010, you won it overall, and Cookie led you out in the last stage at Williamstown. And you managed to roll. Who was racing you for that one? I'm trying to remember who ran second. But anyway, it was pretty close
that year.
Yeah. Yep. Good old days.
Well, why don't we do this? Before we go into Cofidis, into Garmin, into some of the classic stories, let's have a quick drinks break. We'll have a quick word from Bike Exchange. We've already given them enough bloody plugs at the start, but we'll keep going. Give them more because they are such a great support of the show. And a quick message from the Amy Gillett Foundation. When we come back, we're going to dissect the career.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate, and conscientious. Every cyclist's death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange and some great messages there from the Amy Gillett Foundation. Now, I've sent a link to Matty Keenan because he sent me a message. He was watching the detour and he goes, Chris Timms was second, Crown Casino 2003.
Timms.
First Bay Crits that I commentated on. Remember it well. I said, mate, you want to jump on for 5? He said, mate, I can give you 5 minutes. I'm getting ready for Welter coverage, so we could have Keenan on any minute. But
good stuff. We love it.
Let's go back to how did you get the contract for the first in Cofidis days, and that was obviously a team that wasn't World Tour then, but they were still big. Actually, you know what? Keenan's just joined. He's going to ask better questions. Matty Keenan,
how are you?
How are you?
I'm just tuning in. I'm having a coffee. I'm getting ready to go in and call the Vuelta. And I'm listening to you debate that 2003 Bakerit stage.
Yeah.
That was the first Bakerits I ever commentated on. And CJ, classic John Trevorrow, I had to pay my own way. I paid my accommodation. I paid to be there to support his events. Can you get any more John Trevorrow than that? And you're one ahead of Chris Timms. David McKenzie was in there somewhere. I reckon he was in the top 5. And Stewie ended up about 10th. Did I win solo? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And you were riding. You clipped off with about 2 laps to go. I reckon 2 or 3 laps to go, and you were riding in the new N-Swiss FDJ kit. Yeah, and Willie Walker was in the top 10 as well on that stage.
There you go. CJ, you were saying before we're riders, we're not robots. Keenan is a robot. How he remembers this stuff is scary.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Like Wiggins is like that. He can tell you anything. He remembers everything. Yeah, and the ones you remember the most are the ones from when you first started to fall in love with the sport. So the first time I met your dad was in the 1991 Mount Buller Cup that was in April. I was racing the juvenile crit, and I'd ridden the crit, and I was walking into the bathroom to spew up, and your dad was walking out, and I nearly bumped into him. That was the first time I met your dad.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, on a side note, how's the Vuelta coverage going for you, Keno? Late nights?
It's good. No, it's going well. Have you spoken about CJ's stage win at the Vuelta yet?
No.
We're about to, so we haven't yet. No, you can jump in with that.
Jump in with that. I've got a photo of it. Look at that.
Show us the photo.
Too. Yep. Fantastic.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was about 44 degrees, I reckon, CJ.
Yeah, it was pretty warm. I think the average temp that day was about 42, 41 from memory. But yeah.
And it was slightly uphill run into the finish line.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
It was slightly uphill run into the finish line, wasn't it, from memory?
Yeah, it was up. It was slightly, or it felt slightly uphill. But when you look at it, when you have a look at photos and videos going back, it's actually a lot more than slightly uphill. Yeah. It was just one of those days where you don't get them often as a cyclist, but just didn't touch the pedals that day, and just everything happened, and it just opened up in front of me. I felt like Moses parting the sea, I guess.
Well, you did. Yeah. And I was walking around the commentary box, third person self-congratulating, patting myself on the back, because all the other languages, they didn't pick who it was from Team Sky. And they're going, "Oh, did you know who it was?" I said, "I knew who it was a kilometre before the finish line." "What do you mean, do I know who it was?"
You were picking him to win.
Oh, I told them before the stage got started. Another fond memory was when you and Wiggo were together at Garmin in the 2009 Herald Sun Tour, and the stage that finished in Barwon Heads, and you're on the podium presentation, and the rain was coming in sideways, and we're standing hard up with our backs against the wall and still getting drenched. The awning couldn't protect us. The weather was horrendous.
Yeah, remember that day. So it was fine. It's one of those days. It's like even still racing at the Tour of Britain in the UK. It's like it just feels like home. Like it wasn't cold. Like I didn't feel cold, and it was just you're just on a high, and you got someone like Wiggo who's leading you out. It's just fond memories for me, especially that Sun Tour. So.
It was a ripper. I remember the stage into Warrnambool was where all split down the with the side winds and that coming in the back way into Warrnambool. Fantastic stage. Yeah.
But Keenan, this was that the first stage race Wiggo had won up until that point?
Yeah, it was.
There you go.
Yeah, and then
that.
Yeah, you're well done, Dan. Just give yourself a pat on the back.
And you're first and second. But he wasn't letting the hometown boy take old victory there, was he?
No, he wasn't. But then everybody wanted to ask him. Everybody wanted to ask him about whether he was joining Sky for the next year, and obviously the deal was done. But he had to do the right thing and not giving it away. And he's, being the classic smart ass that he can be, Wiggo. He responded to, with saying, "Yeah, we've signed up for the sports package and the entertainment package. We've got the movies for the kids." I'm like,
he didn't care.
It was great. And I loved it. He was when you did a press conference and Wiggo was there, he always got something.
Even if he said nothing, that was the story. It didn't matter what else happened. He was always able to deliver a story. It was great.
And that's why he's so good down the media, because it's just an evolution of who he's been. Like, he doesn't have to change anything. If anything, he gets more confidence. Yeah.
No. What was he like to travel with, CJ?
Oh, he was awesome for me. He was a really good mentor. I used to room with him quite a lot, especially like early days, like in Cofidis and then at Garmin. So yeah, I used to room with him a lot and used to pick his brain, and yeah, we just had a great time. So he's just a top bloke. He's just raw. What you see is what you get, and yeah, like if you feel honoured and privileged when he takes the mickey out of you. So if he doesn't take the piss out of you, then you're not doing anything right.
If he's not taking the piss, he doesn't like you.
Dan, when I take the piss out of Dan, he doesn't feel honoured at all.
Love Dan.
Anyway,
I don't care, especially when it comes from you, mate. But what I was going to say with Wiggo is, what is it about Wiggo that made him such a big champion in the end? Obviously, you got to have the horsepower, but you spend so much time, and a lot of cycling is above the shoulders. Was there any sort of major clues that he left behind that you're like, he was always going to do that?
I think like it was his mindset, but I think the main factor was it's not because he's my uncle, but yeah, just Uncle Shane. It was his weapon, and it's like anything. As soon as he spoke, you go back to that Sun Tour stage, I lost the first stage in the Sun Tour that year in the Herald Sun Tour, and the first thing Uncle Shane said to me was, "Young Kersey Poo beat you." Like, he's 42 years of age. He goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Are you look at this guy's Palmares." Like,
Kersey Poo's a legend.
Then I come out and won the next 3 stages. I felt a bit embarrassed. Like, it's young Kersey Poo. Like, if I'm going to lose the stage to someone, it's like, hey, look at this guy. But yeah, it's just he's there's a lot of athletes, as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of stuff that probably happens behind the teams, not just in cycling, but in a lot of sports, in general stuff, change of management, this and that. But there's coaches that you have that if you don't buy into what the coaches, trying to achieve, not for the coach themselves, like the results, he's trying to help you get results. So if you don't buy into what the coach is doing, you're not going to get results. So, you have a look at my old man, like with Team USA at the Olympics. I'm so proud of him, because all the athletes, they're bought into what he wanted to do, and he's totally changed that whole organization. There's a lot of people like, and I'm an Aussie through and through. I bleed green and gold. But, I support my old man, and, Team USA, I was so happy for him. And I was barracking for them, like in the events that he was in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
I was too, mate. I was too.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that people don't see, for the fact that, like a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, when it was cold in Colorado Springs, I got video footage on my phone of the athletes trying to get into the velodrome. They were digging out the snow. Like, they could not get into the velodrome. The whole team is out there, coaching staff, athletes, everyone. They're trying to dig out all the snow so they can open the doors to get in and train. So, that's dedication. That's athletes just going, no, like they could have said, well, we're not training today. But they're like, no, we're here. We're on a mission. This is what we're doing. And, if I should send you the video. But
do.
People don't know. People don't know that. People don't see that.
We're going to ask a question, Keno, before you got to head off.
Yeah, I love that story. That sort of stuff. It's the stuff that people don't see, and everybody's worried about humidity and heat acclimatization, and they're digging out snow.
Yeah,
that's an awesome story. But just I've got one more Wiggo question for you. And you spoke about your Uncle Shane and buying into the coaching program. When you were with Wiggo, say 2008. Obviously, your uncle saw something in Wiggo that a lot of other people didn't see. But at that point in 2008, did you really think that Wiggo could win a Tour de France?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. So because I room with Wiggo quite a lot, and I got to see a lot of the training he was doing and the power, and I'm just going, this guy's a freak. Just, the stuff that he used to do in races, what he used to do to help me out, leading me out when I was in Cofidis and when I was in Garmin, just the horsepower he used to have. And nothing ever happens overnight, but you can train that, and that's what they did. So, and all this training stuff that we used to do, even at Sky with all the power stuff and long distances, as I said, you got to buy in. Like my uncle made me do these efforts one day, and I was just doing these 3K efforts on the flat, and I'm just going, this is ridiculous. But then within 3 weeks' time, doing these 4 3K efforts on the flat, I increased 50 watts for the effort. It's not much, but in the scheme of things, in 3 weeks, like when you're doing these 4 3K efforts and you've gone up like 50 odd watts, it's quite a lot.
It's a marginal gain.
No, it's more than marginal. I'll buy that 50 watts any day of the week.
That's right.
I would now too.
You got any coaching ambitions of your own?
Yeah, coaching a few people at the moment. So got a few things, but just at the moment, just with the bike shop and how crazy it has been. And, we've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. They're crazy enough as it is. So it's I believe in karma.
So do I.
It's you're seeing it right there in a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, especially when they're up at 5:30. So standing at your bed, just going, let's go outside. And you're like, what's the time?
I didn't know where you were going with the karma core. Now it's about your kids waking you up. Okay.
They're outdoors kids and they love it. And Sonny's pretty keen on the bike, but you know what? They're going to have the same upbringing I did as a kid. They end up, riding a bike or racing a bike. That's cool. I'll support them. But, I did all sports as a kid, so we'll just see.
Hey, Keenan, you've got to go, mate. Thanks for coming in for the Detour Power Play, mate. We've loved it. Come in, pinch
great.
hit,
I haven't
couple of sixes, off you go.
Yeah, no, I've missed CJ. I've missed a lot of the episodes. I knew you were on, and I was keen to have a listen. You had a fantastic career, mate, and I really enjoyed being able to call some of the key moments. I loved calling that stage victory in the Vuelta. Congratulations on everything you achieved, mate.
Thanks, Keno. Cheers, mate. Good to see you on the box too.
Yeah, see you guys.
Matty.
Matty Keenan, commentary superstar. What I wanted to ask you as well is when you're talking about the influence of Uncle Shane, I remember that documentary they did on Wiggo's campaign to win the Tour de France. There was a really decisive scene with your uncle where he basically kicked Wiggo fair up the arse and said, listen, mate, if you don't want to listen to what we've got to say, that's it. We'll rip your contract up. You're wasting our time, you're wasting your time, whatever. It was a real kick up the ass to say, if you want to do this, you do everything I say, and that is it. If you deviate from that, it's over. And if you do that once, it's over. So you're either all in or that's it. And I think that was the point where we goes like, okay, whatever you say, I'm all chips in. And as you said, you need, as a rider, someone that influence in your career to go bang. And do you look back at your career now and think how fortunate you are to have that connection and have that name Sutton?
Big time, to be honest. Going back to that story with the Wiggo, it's like someone like Wiggo, there's a lot of athletes that need to hear stuff like that. And a lot of people probably get offended with the comments and this and that. I shouldn't have talked to him like that. But it's like someone like Wiggo that had that much talent, they need that kick up the arse because they're not going to get another coach that's going to be like that. They're just going to be like, oh, it's okay. Just go inside, wrap yourself in cotton wool. Just hopefully the little sniffle goes away and maybe we can get back to it tomorrow. That's where I think differently. If I had 4 hours or 4.5 hours on my training program, the first thing that my uncle said to me and that I learned from him was, he goes, if it's bucketing down rain tomorrow, what are you going to do? So, well, I'll go out for 2.5 hours in the morning, 2 hours, 2.5, and we'll see how it goes. If it finds up, then I'll go out and I'll do the efforts in the afternoon. Otherwise, I'll do the ergo. And he said, all right, because I knew which way it was going. And he told me a week later, he said, if you had said, oh, you just wait till the rain subsides or whatever, he said he was going to rip into me and say you were not going to catch a cold from going out in 2.5 hours, because it is a joke that people think that's going to happen, because there is no such thing as bad clothes, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. And the amount of clothes that you get as an athlete, for cold conditions, there's no excuses. And for me, I used to like training in the rain. A little bit special. I am a Sutton. I used to like training in the rain because I knew no one else was. So it's like money in the bank. It's, I went out for 2 hours and you did nothing. It's the old
analogy. I remember there was a famous story about, remember Debbie Flintoff King, Iffy? And her story was her favorite day of training was Christmas Day, because she knew that there'd be a percentage of her competitors that wouldn't be training on that day. And it's all about the edge, the marginal gains, what you can do differently to everyone else. You're talking before, Sato, that you are coaching some people now. What are the key messages that you pass on when you are trying to coach or mentor, or what you want to pass on to that sort of next generation?
The biggest thing is, like, before I work with anyone, I need to know their dreams and goals. How can I coach or work with someone? I need to take them somewhere, but where am I going to take them if I don't know where they want to go? So,
That's good.
You need
very good.
That's very good.
Well, you need dreams and goals. So, I just want to know where people want to go, what they want to do. I don't mean this. Probably a lot of people might take it the wrong way, but it's like, anyone can be a coach. But the definition of being a good coach, like being able to coach and being a great coach, is, it's just taking an athlete from a D grade rider to winning a B grade crit if that's what they want to do. That's a good coach. So you got to listen to your athletes. There's so much technology out there, and I am grateful for the technology, but it doesn't tell you if an athlete's hurting. There's things that you need to know, and there's a lot of coaches I know that already do this, but, if an athlete's not putting in it, or they have a couple of bad days, it's, you got to find out what's going on at home. Is home life okay? Like, are they having issues at school? Like, just certain things like that, relationship issues. You got to factor in all that these days. Like, there's quite a lot that you need to take on board as a coach.
Do you think everyone has the potential to get to the top, say, like a world tour, in terms of, or is there an element of you need like physical attributes, or can you turn that around with the mental side of things?
I think you can turn it around. You do need to have some talent there, but if someone believes that they can be there, then why not? Like, I was just a young kid, and, I used to grow up, used to race home from either footy practice or soccer practice, or, when I was still riding a bike as a little whippet, doing the Tuesday or Thursday training sessions. I used to rush home and watch the highlights on SBS of the Tour de France, and I was like, I want to be a professional one day. I want to ride the Tour de France and this and that. I always had a dream that I wanted to ride for Cofidis. I always liked them as a kid growing up. There's one thing I never did was ride the Tour de France, but I actually rode for Cofidis, and I actually got to be a professional bike rider. And here I am, just a little kid from the Sutherland Shire. So, dreams and goals, like, write it down. Things do happen. Things do come true. I got to live my childhood dream for over 10 years. So, it's like, you can have a bit of talent, but it's dedication. How much do you want it? I did my apprenticeship as a carpenter. I used to work down in Wollongong, a place called Jade Kitchens. So I'm a fully qualified carpenter, even though, I worked as a cabinet maker. But I remember a few days riding home, used to have a backpack on, like, ride home from Wollongong, bucketing down rain, 70 odd K home, But, you know, I look back now and laugh and just be like, well, that obviously helped me to get to where I wanted to be. So
do you think this mental resilience, because I'm loving this stuff, I'm loving these areas, mate. This mental resilience, how important is this? Because do you feel that this, at a time in our lives, is the biggest crossroads, that mentally we're going to have to rely on all the tools that you've learned to persevere and get through this? And then if you do feel that you're in a good spot, how important is it to sort of share the tools that you've learned to help others to get through these tough moments that we're in at the moment?
Yeah, big time. I mean, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And obviously, mental health is a big thing. Like, obviously, I was forced into early retirement with a back injury. Me personally, I went through depression. You know, I got married at the end of 2015. I pretty much spent all of December laying on the floor, just because of like my back, the way it was. Yeah, I just got married, like, beautiful wife. You know, and I think there's a certain thing, like, athletes are so strong mentally because, you know, everything that you put yourself through, the training, you know, training in the rain, you know, racing in Europe in the snow, whatever you're doing, athletes are mentally strong. And I sort of, you know, I put on like 16 kilos when I retired. But I had that how-to moment in the mirror, like after about 6 months, 7 months, and I was like, "You muppet, wake up yourself! Like, you know, you're fat, you got married, you know, you got a beautiful wife who loves you, who hasn't left you, and you know, you want to start a family and have kids, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Get your shit together." So, you know, I went back to doing a lot of the stuff that I was doing at Team Sky. I was, you know, eating portion controls, like portion control food, like, you know, just doing protein days. And all I could do, because of my back, all I could do was walk every day. So in 6 weeks, I lost 15 kilos in 6 weeks, and I felt good. I felt better. And yeah, anyway, I never wanted surgery on my back because, you know, the outcome wasn't going to be that great. So, and I wanted to be able to pick up kids like when we had kids one day, and now we've got 2. So I just wanted to let my back, or let my body, do what it does and heal naturally, which it has done, like with previous injuries before I retired. And yeah, now it's just like, yeah, I'm good. We've got 2 kids, can run around, pick them up, throw them around, have a ball.
Because you've gone through such a tough moment of your life, and now you're sort of coming out the other side, can you see triggers in people a lot quicker because you've experienced it? And then what is the key things you say to people when they are, and you think, shit, hang on, a good friend or whatever is going through depression here? You know, how do you react with that?
Yeah, my like, everyone knows that I have spoken about, like, that I've gone through depression. A lot of people know that. So a lot of people have reached out. Everyone that I talk to, like, I'll touch base with them every once in a while just to see how they're going. But I know if there's an issue, someone will contact me. So I do try and talk to as many people as I can. But, you know, if there is an issue, like, I've had athletes in the past that have been struggling, and they have called me, not people that I've been coaching, but they have called me and just picked my brain. And I suppose that's where the mentoring side comes into it as well. So, and I'm happy to help out all young kids too, because I want to see young kids, I want to see Australian cycling grow, because I just don't think it's there as much as what it was previously at the moment. So, but like, for all people, like, if anyone is struggling, like, and there's all ads out there, and it's so true. It ain't weak to speak. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's, yeah.
And we had Vaughan on the other day, and they're part of the Mental Wheels Foundation. So that's mentalwheelsfoundation.org. They're doing a lot of great stuff with mental health and incorporating cycling and so forth. But you're dead right, mate. Like, there's such an awareness now, because we are at a period in our lives where it's like, this is going to really test. And if you don't connect, if you don't communicate, if you don't reach out, you don't support each other, and get in that positive mindset. And the insights that you're passing on, mate, is huge, I think. And the fact that being able to be comfortable, being vulnerable, being able to talk about, being able to put your hand up and going, hey, this point in my life, I really struggle, but being comfortable because every time you share that story, CJ, that connects with someone, that makes them feel comfortable, and then they're willing to open and share and put their hand up. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, why, you sort of, it's not about me, but, I did everything right in my mind, my upbringing. I always had a plan, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do if that didn't happen, and so on. So, I left school after year 10, got my certificate, did my apprenticeship as a builder. So I'm a fully qualified builder. And I always still had that dream that I wanted to be a professional cyclist. If that didn't happen, I had something to fall back on. So, and that's where it was hard for me. And I'm just speaking from my experiences. I obviously, when I was forced into early retirement with my injury, I couldn't fall back on my building apprenticeship because of my back. So there was a no-go. So I didn't really think about much more. But, you can work out what you're good at. And, that's why I started. I was bored, so I did a lot of study with health and nutrition. And then I was like, well, I always said I wanted to give back to the sport. Why don't I learn coaching? So, I know how to coach because I learned a lot from my dad and my uncle. So I can implement that and help young people out. Just, I was a young kid, wanted to see the world. So, what's to say little Johnny can't do the same thing? So, and then, now obviously I have a bike shop as well.
Good question for you, Iffy. Has there been a lot of commentary after the Olympics to say, where is Australian cycling at? How do they change the culture? How do they move forward? Do you think that with everything that we're talking about, mental health particularly, is something that's like prevention is better than the cure? So if you create an environment around culture, which mentally creates a solid environment, you look at what the boomers did, you look at the leadership from Paddy Mills and that support network. And when, Ben Simmons said, I'm not going to play, he's like, man, we're going to get around this guy. He's our brother. This is a culture we're creating within the boomers. If they look at the reform and if they could do a review or whatever, if they look at it as let's create an environment of support, not the negative, all positive, and prevention is better than cure. If you get people in a good mental state, because you're not dealing with robots, that's management, that's staff, that's everyone to buy into a new culture of support with Australian cycling. That could be the future moving forward. I reckon, Johnny.
Yes.
Sweet.
Well, I was going to say, you asked the question, but you answered the bloody thing anyway, so you're spot on.
I was just trying to bring you in. We sort of chopped out for the last 15 minutes.
Like 20 minutes, but that's all right. I'm always jumping on you because, hey, it was going beautifully. There's nothing I could add in there that would have improved it. Probably would have taken it back a step. But I think what Australian cycling needs to do is to absolutely take a big step back and throw everything over them, because I feel that they've lost the plot over the last few years into putting all their efforts into the top-end program and not working on grassroots. And we need to get back to grassroots. We've got to start with the kids,
You know what's stupid? Don't focus on results. Results are the byproduct of all this other process. Focus on the process. The process should be
I thought that's what I was saying. Yes. Yeah. Back to grassroots. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of my fondest memories. You ask anyone from my era, what you remember as a kid, and all the 2-day tours that we used to do. Whether it was anywhere in New South Wales, anywhere in Victoria, we had all these 2-day tours as under 15s, under 17s, and then your state titles, and you went off to your national titles, and that was some of my fondest memories as a kid, and that's one thing that I did say to New South Wales cycling as well, just bring back 2-day tours for juniors. You've got to get young kids involved again. This is going pear-shaped, and it's bringing back that the Bay Crits, the 5 days. Get it back, Iffy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Ryan, I'm working on it. I am. But I love listening to you talking about your coaching, because there's too many people who get involved and say they're coaching, but they're really just giving information. They're not coaching. The minute you take on the role to coach someone, what you do, CJ, you just got to, as you say, find out what they want to do, where they want to go, judge their abilities, work a plan for them. But you need to teach them how to read their own body signs as well, how to know when to be training hard and when to ease off, and because that's so important. You can tell a youngster to go, you got to do this, this, and this. But if he's getting cooked and you're not really over that properly, they can go downhill big time. I just remember one quick little thing. I remember back when I had the old bike shop in Geelong, and this young kid who was being coached by someone, and he was riding the Melbourne Warrnambool on the Saturday. He came into my shop, I think it was on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and he was out doing a big ride, and he'd had 2 punctures. He just called in to get a tyre. And I said, yeah, okay, mate, what are you doing? He said, I've got to go out. I've still got 150K to go because I've got to do, coach said I've got to do, 200 and whatever today. And I looked at him. I could just tell his eyes were right back in his head. He was absolutely stuffed. I said, mate, you shouldn't be going anywhere. You should be just riding home and going to bed. You are. Oh, no, coach. And I said, who's your coach? He told me. I knew the guy. And I rang him up. I said, hey, have you seen, Billy Smith lately? He said, no. I said, he's just calling my shop. He's knackered, mate. He is absolutely stuffed. You need to talk to him. So I put him on the phone, and then he went home. I can't remember how he went in that Warrnambool, but the story is he was knackered. Oh, I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter. No, but also, okay, so honest question. Your best form, CJ, did that come at a point where you were talking earlier about insights on when you're coaching people? You got to look at their personal life and things going on at home. Were your best results coming at when you were at the best spot mentally as well?
Yeah.
So in terms of physically, like if you don't have everything ticked off mentally and you're forcing through this, you're training and you're wondering why I ain't getting the results or whatever. If you're in a good spot mentally, this is the other thing that sort of shits me about teams, right? They always think that to get the results, we've got to be hard asses and we've got to create an environment where we're hard and we're tough and we're saving money and we've got to treat people like shit because that's how we get the job done. Newsflash, that don't work. That doesn't work because you need to create an environment where people feel respected. They feel like when they do a good job, if it's a mechanic, soigneur, a rider or whatever, recognize it. Because if you do a simple thing that costs you nothing, hey, CJ, great job on the front today, mate. We gave you a job. You did it. We recognize it. Bang. You go to bed that night in your bloody nice laid out mattress that you've picked out 3 weeks earlier. You go to bed going, you know what? I busted my ass today, but they've recognized it and they support that. And this is the thing that shits me about culture, right? People start going, oh, we're not getting the results. Oh, guess what? A rider doesn't want to sign with us next year. Oh, guess what? We can't re-sign them. Oh, guess what? Managers are talking to their riders and they're saying, don't go to that team because they're toxic now. And guess what? In 3 or 4 years, your team's finished because your culture's down the shitter because you don't treat people the way they should be treated.
When I start my new team, CJ, I'm having Dan as a general manager. How's that?
Well, I just reckon it's a simple formula, mate. And we've solved a lot of the world's problems on this podcast today. And I knew it was going to be a cracker. Because I thought, if we get CJ on and we just talk and we didn't put any notes. And I said to John before we started, I said, hey, no notes on tonight's show. You know what that means? It's going to be an absolute belter. And
off the cuff.
Off the cuff, mate. I've bloody enjoyed it. It's been awesome because
very good, mate.
Yeah, it's been an amazing career, amazing journey. But you're a bloody ripping bloke, mate. And I think people, that's what they really remember at the end of the day. It doesn't the results and stuff. As you said, amazing career, one stage of the world to one other stage than that. But it's who you are as a person, a legacy you leave behind, and what you can do for the next generation. And with that name and the experience and the lessons that your family's created, mate, future's looking bloody bright. So,
hopefully the best is still yet to come, but
for sure.
We'll see.
We're going to get your dad on soon too. We're going to have a chat with him. So I'll talk to you about getting in contact with him.
I'm happy to. You might have to change the time though.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it at the right time.
Yeah.
Where is he? Back in Colorado, is he?
Yeah.
There.
Currently, 2:45 in the morning there. So
He's not listening.
I'll tell you, to be honest, though, it's 2:45 in the morning. He's probably up writing a schedule for the team's pursuit.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have to get Shane on as well. He was a ripper. Like, I remember talking to him after they won the Tour in 2012, and he was sitting back, and Wiggins had won it. And I was talking to him at the front of the hotel in Paris. I go, good job, Sutto, but, you know, at the end of the day, you bastards, you got such a big budget just to piss him off. And he goes, "No, mate." He goes, "Everyone says we've got the biggest budget. But I tell you, we saw that movie Moneyball. You seen that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." And we just set the whiteboard up. We undervalued riders. Moneyball. I was thinking, righto, mate. Righto. He loved it.
I remember it must have been Wigo's first year at Sky. Remember when he all talked about what he was going to do a tour, and he had that bad tour. He cracked up in the mountains. And the day he cracked, they had the small RV there, and he just dives in there. All the British press are out there waiting to interview him. He's not coming out. Anyway, Shane's in there, and Shane says to him, "Listen, you got to get out there. They're going to hound you for another day. Get out there. Just tell them. Just be honest." Because he didn't like the media. It's funny that now he is a media star. He hated the media back then. So anyway, Shane just said, "Go, just get out there." Kicked him up the arse, kicked him out. So out he goes. So he was just going to say, "I had a bad day, I cracked, whatever." But he's trying to, even before he get it out, the British press are asking these really stupid questions, and he's getting defensive. You can see it. So and he's answering, and I'm up the back, and I yell out, "You look like you're doing it tough on that last mountain." We go, and he went, "Iffy, you want to know what happened?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "I was if you
fire truck."
Yeah. Everyone went, "What?" And that was it. And he turned around and went in. Funniest thing of all time. It was hilarious.
Simple bloke. He's like a lot of people, right? You treat him the way you want to be treated.
That's it.
You treat someone like a piece of shit, they'll treat you straight back the same.
Exactly right. Right. Yeah.
So,
well, mate, we can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight. It's been bloody fantastic, and good to see you doing well. And thanks for all your insights, and wish you all the best with the bike shop. Iffy, before we go, wants to say,
well, we could say goodbye, but we don't. Before we close off, we've got to thank the Miller Resort thing.
I was going to do that, but
that's good.
I've got to let him go, but they'll do it. But we'll do it all now.
One thing to say to CJ.
Yes.
You've definitely got your shit together, mate.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Lucky I've got a wife that knows what's doing with kids.
Well, at least you got a bit of a chop out for an hour. You can say, I've got to do the detour. Sorry, guys. But they should be in by now, but you'll be laughing.
I was struggling though because I had to read a book. I was like, Dad's got to do an interview. I've got to go.
Silent auction, Johnny, for the Miller Resorts. It's 5 nights accommodation, Waterview Villa. Miller.com. Check out all the details. And this is all to raise money for the Kareka Foundation. Kareka.co.za/Peloton. Where are we up to?
We got another bit today, $4,500 Oz. It's up to now. Yeah, wow. So it's getting up there, $4,500. So this is a prize, which we'll show you in a second, CJ. But it's worth $13,500. It's sensational. Dan's actually stayed there. He knows all about it.
Yeah. I haven't stayed at that resort. I've stayed at the Maldives, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm sure this resort is even better than the one I stayed at.
Yes. My brother has stayed there, and he can't stop raving about it. So
you got
picture, mate.
Oh, hang on, you've put me on the spot here. You have the script. You ready to go, Johnny?
I do.
Hang on.
Discover a tropical playground of powdered sugar sand, lush jungle, and crystalline waters. A Miller Maldives luxury resort reeks of timeless style and endless bliss. Stand by for unexpected treats and indulgences. Delighting and surprising you is their hallmark. A Miller's motto is to exceed your expectations. The sky is the limit.
Oh, brilliant. That was perfect. So keep those bids coming in. We're at 4.5. If you want to take that experience, it's worth over 13.5. John at cyclingevents.com.au, and all the money's going
All
to a
the money
great
goes
cause.
to Chalaca.
And if you want to support the show, youtube.com/the Detour Podcast, you have to share this episode. It is an absolute belter. And that is because CJ Sutton is an absolute belter. It's been fantastic, mate. We've really enjoyed it. And we'll be back again, Iffy, tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Final prediction. We haven't even talked about stage 10. Who's going to win?
Michael Matthews. You're going to pull one out
Bling?
of his ass today. Bling. Just sting. Yeah.
Bling, sting. What's that mountain go up to? How high is that?
That's Cat 2.
It's only Cat 2. It's not that high.
600, 700 metres?
It's only
600 meters?
17K to go. He might need to get in the break. But
No.
it's his day.
Break. It's flat.
Yeah, but the break will go up the road, mate. You should get in it.
Break might stay away, actually.
Yeah, might do. Yeah. And I mean, the sprinters teams aren't going to bother because they know that Jacobson Phillipson will not get over that hill. So they won't bother. So it'll be,
That's where Bling's got it. So, because Bling's quite punchy and he can climb a hill.
Yeah. So there you go.
All chips in for Bling then. Let's go. Let's back him in so we can take this grab from the episode tomorrow and say, we called it. That's very
exactly right. Exactly right.
It is. Put me down.
All right. All the best. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, CJ.
Guys. Stay safe. Everyone stay safe.
Bloody oath, mate. And
Thanks,
we'll check in again soon, mate. It was fantastic. Cheers,
Sounds
guys.
good. Cheers, guys. See ya.
Bye.
This is the winning ride on the Tour de France.